Well, hello tonight, boys and girls, and I have something more on a serious note I want to talk to you about tonight. I have three stories about this particular topic that I want to tell you about and see what you think about it. Anyway, I'm going to talk about autism. Now, autism is something that I know very little about. I am going to tell you three stories, though, that I have come in contact with since I've been doing Bigfoot investigations and that type of stuff. When it gets to something that people don't really know anything about, there's a lot of people that talk about Bigfoot that don't have any idea what they're talking about. So I guess since I don't know what I'm talking about too much about autism, I guess that makes us even. Anyway, let's get started with these three stories that I want to tell you and see what you think.
And now, from the tail end of the Appalachian mountain chain in the heart of the South, this is Alabama Adventures.
Now, several years ago, there was a very popular movie that came out called Rain Man. And that's what the movie was about this man that had autism. If you hadn't seen that movie or it's been a long time since you have watched it, you need to rent it and watch it again, or you may have it. It's a very good movie. I enjoyed it. But anyway, what I want to tell you about is here about a couple of so years ago, I was in Huntsville. We had a paranormal conference to do up there, and as usual, whenever I get through with my little talk, whenever the conference or something like that ends, I like to hang around a little while and talk to the people in the audience and anybody that has any questions or anything that they would like to talk about privately. That's just one of the things that I like to do because a lot of people have encounters and things that they don't want everybody to know about. They want to talk to somebody in confidentiality, and that's what I try to do a lot of times. And this while we were in Huntsville up there, this one man uh, came up, and that's what we got to talking about autism. The reason we got to talking about it, he said that this happened in northern Alabama, uh, I guess about a couple of so years ago. But what had happened that these two men or boys, I guess, that were autistic came up missing, and they hunted and hunted them, and they couldn't find them, and they were gone for like about 2 or 3 days, and they finally found them out in the woods, and both of them were leaned up against a tree whenever they found them, and they seemed to be in pretty good shape, like they had had plenty of food to eat and were not malnourished or anything like that, or suffering from the elements or whatever. But anyway, he said it was a few days later, whenever they began to talk about what had happened, they told, I'm not sure who they told, but anyway, this man found out about it. Somebody told him, or he may have been one of the investigators on the case or something, whatever. These two boys claimed that they had been aboard a UFO. For this 2 or 3 days that they had been gone, and while on there, they had come in contact with Bigfoot on the UFO. Now, what do you think about that? Is there some type of connection? Uh, After I tell you another story or two, you may think that there is some type of connection with Bigfoot to people that are autistic. But anyway, that was one story. It was just sort of a quick story that I wanted to tell you. But anyway, the man wanted to know what I thought about it. And as I said, I don't know a whole lot about autism. And I certainly don't know what to think about it. But I'm sure some of you out there have an opinion on it, and I would like to hear it. All right, and now here's the second story that I heard about autism. This was probably about a couple of so years ago, too. But anyway, what happened here was this man owned a garage where he worked on cars and that type of stuff. And I'm going to call him Roy. I'm having to look down at my notes so I can keep up with the names. I'm using fake names here. So anyway, that's why I'm sort of looking down at my notes. The man that owned the garage, we're going to call him Roy. Okay, Roy owned this garage where he worked on cars every day. And he had a friend, a young man named Joey, is what we're going to call him. He had autism. And sometimes, not every day, but some days he would walk down to Roy's garage and just sit on a chair or a coat crate or a box or just whatever and would sit there and watch him work and I guess he was just wanting to get out of the house to have somewhere to go or something. But now Joey did not know anything about auto mechanics, how to fix cars or anything like that. He'd never worked on cars or engines or that type of stuff. He just came down to his friend's shop maybe 2 or 3 times a week and would sit there for different amounts of time and would watch him work. And of course, Roy would try to carry on a conversation and talk to him and be friendly to him. But anyway, he was in there one day and he'd been working on this car for several days. Roy had. He'd been trying to get it running and he just wasn't having any luck getting the car fixed or repaired, whatever you want to call it. So anyway, he just as he walked by Joey sitting over near the wall, sitting in a chair on a crate or something over there. He told me, he said, I have been working on this car for almost a week and I can't figure out what it is. He said, Joey, can you tell me what's wrong with the car or can you fix this car? And said he sort of was shocked or whatever, but said the car was not running. Said sometimes he could get it to crank and it would run just for a few seconds and then it would go dead. But said anyway, when he asked Joey this, said the car was not running. It was just sitting there. And said Joey gets up and walks over to the car and puts his hand on the driver's side of the front fender. And said he takes his hand and walks all the way down the car with his hand sliding down the car. And he walks around the trunk with his hand still on the car. Then he walks up the passenger side with his hand still on the car. And he walks around to the hood. Whenever he gets through, he looks at Roy and tells him 9 different things that are wrong with this car. And he should have no idea of what he's talking about as far as the mechanics of this engine or car or anything. As a matter of fact, he said that Joey told him that the number, I believe he said the number 3 spark plug is not firing. And as I said, he told him 9 different things that were wrong with his car. And whenever he asked him which number 3 cylinder was he talking about on what side of the motor, it was a V8 engine. And he said that Joey pointed into the hood of the 3rd one back from, I'm not sure what side, but he pointed to the 3rd one down there and said this spark plug is not firing. He told him some other things that were wrong with the car, as I said. And then after he told him those things that were wrong with the car and needed to be fixed to get the car back running, he said that Joey also told him, he said it also needs a can of Freon and 4 more ounces. Plus 4 more ounces, and said the air conditioner will work good. Now, how did he know what size a can that Freon came in? How did he know about the measurements of Freon and how many that's what you put into the cooling system as ounces? But anyway, he said he thought, well, I'll just try what he said. So he checked all 9 things. He went back and wrote down the 9 things that Joey told him. And I said he even asked him about it. He said, now, so and so and so and so is what you said is wrong with this car, and I need to replace that. And he would say, yep. And said that's exactly what he did. And said he replaced these 9 or fixed these 9 items that Joey had told him was wrong with the car. And said the car fired up and run just as smooth as it did the day that it came out of the factory. And said then he checked the cooling system and said sure enough it was low, 1 can plus 4 ounces of Freon. Now, how did Joey know that? You probably saw things similar to that in Rain Man. One thing that I can remember real quick in Rain Man was where he was handed a box of matches, and he told him exactly how many matches were in this matchbox without having to count them. So, what was it that Joey knew what caused that for him to know exactly what was wrong with his car? He had never worked on cars. He was not a mechanic, never had been one, but he knew exactly what was wrong with his car simply by touching it, and the car was not even running. Now, you tell me your opinion on that. Okay, now I'm going to tell you the 3rd story on autism of where maybe I or maybe the Alabama Bigfoot Society played a little part in it. But anyway, what I want to tell you is what happened. If you remember a while back, and I have done a video or 2 on this, and I've got the picture on a video or 2 that I've done. If you remember, an investigator from over in Tuscaloosa County came over one day and she wanted me to show her some Bigfoot signs and stuff like that over here that we're having, so we could compare what's going on in Tuscaloosa County over here. So we went down to Horseshoe Bend. It's where we made this picture. We made this picture of this Bigfoot, and here's the picture. Anyway, whenever I got a copy of the Bigfoot, whenever she emailed me a copy of this picture, I just decided to call the Bigfoot Fred. One reason that I called the Bigfoot Fred was because Fred was my dad's name, so I was going to name this particular Bigfoot in Horseshoe Bend Park after my dad. So anyway, I didn't tell anybody. I never mentioned that to a soul that that's what I was going to call this Bigfoot down there, and I didn't. I never mentioned that to anybody that I had named this particular Bigfoot, not even to the investigator over in Tuscaloosa County. But anyway, there was this little boy that goes to school near here, and he's autistic. And I found this out from one of his teachers. But anyway, he didn't have a whole lot to say in class and this type of stuff. And she said he usually sat in the back of the room on the back row or something like that, and said he just pretty much sort of stayed to himself. But anyway, she said one day they were having class and she was talking about something, and she was walking around in the classroom while she was teaching this particular class, and said that as she walked by, this little boy said he was drawing pictures of robots and just all kinds of stuff, and said she stopped and asked him what was he drawing, and he was drawing some real good pictures, and she wanted to know what it was, and he didn't say anything, so she just started going through some of his pages there that he had drawn, to where she could see what he had drawn, and he had drawn a Bigfoot standing on a hill, and she asked him. She said, "Is that a robot too?" He said, "No, that's a Bigfoot, and his name is Fred." Now, where did he come up with this Bigfoot drawing on that he was drawing a Bigfoot on the hill, and that's exactly what kind of picture we got, was a Bigfoot standing on a little hill. And I decided to call him Fred and hadn't told a soul. And then this little boy comes up with the same name. And so anyway, that was about all that was said about it that day. So a few days later, they had a field trip over to Horseshoe Bend, and this is, as I said, this has been about a couple of so years ago, and said he was kind of staying behind the rest of the class and hadn't had much to say that day, and just sort of sitting around, and as I said, just wasn't having much to say or do. So this teacher goes up to him and says they're fixing to go on a hike. There's a hiking trail that covers the entire park over there. So that's what they were fixing to do, is to go on this little hike in Horseshoe Bend. So his teacher goes over to him and asks him, "Don't you want to come along with us to walk down the trail?" Said, "We might get in there and see Bigfoot. You can't ever tell." And said when she said that, said this little boy just opened up and said he talked for 2 hours about Bigfoot. Said he told her all about Bigfoot in Horseshoe Bend. Said he told her all about the videos that I've done that he had watched, and all this type of stuff, and said he talked about Bigfoot for almost 2 solid hours, and said they went on the walk down through there, and he pretty much pointed out to her to where the Bigfoot Fred lived, and where he was pointing out was pretty much where we made this picture of a Bigfoot over that day. Now that's just too big of a coincidence. There had to be some type of connection there or something. But anyway, she came to me. This teacher called me the next day or two, and told me this story of what had happened with this little boy, and said that that's what he wanted to be called, because he liked Bigfoot and he liked all the videos that the Alabama Bigfoot Society had put on YouTube, and he wanted to be called Fred. So that's what we decided to call him. But anyway, she came up to my house and told me this entire story. So anyway, a few weeks from then, they were graduating and this type of stuff, and of course they have an awards day. I don't know if they have that at all schools, but they have an awards day at the schools around here, usually about graduation time, for all the classes. So anyway, what we decided to do was to make this little boy a lifelong member of the Alabama Bigfoot Society. And that's what they did on awards day down there, because he really wasn't going to receive an award of any type from the school. But anyway, he did receive a lifetime membership in the Alabama Bigfoot Society. So now, anyway, there's three stories of autism. Two of them were closely connected, it seems like, to Bigfoot. Not only Bigfoot, but one of them was connected to UFO. Now, is there some type of connection? Is there some type of paranormal connection? Since we know Bigfoot is psychic, can he communicate with these people that have autism, and does he communicate with them as he communicates with us sometimes? I get my tongue around my teeth and I can't see what I'm saying sometimes. But anyway, what I was wondering, and get your opinion about, would Bigfoot be some type of tool that could be used in the classroom or wherever these children receive assistance or whatever from their autism? Anyway, it might be something that could be used in a way that could help them in some way or another. And something else I wondered about: have these people that have autism, have they reached some higher intelligence level? Is that's what it is? I just don't. I wish I knew. I wish I had some answers. I'll see what you think on it. But anyway, I guess I had better bring this video on to a close. As always, I'll tell you that the Alabama Bigfoot Society is run completely out of pocket, and if you're in a position where you can and where you would like to make a donation, that would be very much appreciated so we can continue what we're doing down here. If you like this video, give us a like, and if you like what we're doing with our stories and our investigations and our paranormal investigations also and that type of stuff, hope you subscribe to the channel. Now, one other thing I want to say about autism. I do appreciate you watching this video on autism that I did, because as I said, I know very little about it. I'm sorry about that. I just don't know a lot about it. But anyway, what do you think? What is your opinion on these three stories? And I guess, good Lord willing, and the creeks don't rise, I'll see you somewhere on down the trail.